Well, hey there, wow friends. I've got a really special treat for you today. A nice, soothing, languid, more restorative style practice, really getting into all parts of the hip. So we'll do a nice circumferential tour of the hips, place where we tend to get a little bit bound up. We hold quite a lot. So the practice today is really going to be one to soothe and settle, ground energy down, and really offer you time to, I would say, feel what you feel. A lot of times in life when we're busy, particularly this time of year where we're rushing a lot, we're often very much out of our bodies, and we're out of our bodies and we're on autopilot and we're just quick wire and things just go. This is your counter pose for all of that. To slow down, feel what you feel. Really recognize if you need a little bit more support, a little bit more nourishment, how you can resource that for yourself. And also recognize where you might be pretending or pushing or running away from or being someone who you not really are. And this is your practice to tune back in, to ground back in, and practice being real and true. Honoring you and everything that you value, everything that gives you meaning. And I know that sounds perhaps a little bit preachy, but I see it so much. So this can be such a wonderful practice to clear out all of that and come back in, come back home. That's my hope for you. We will draw on a few props. I'll talk you through them throughout the practice. And then I want you to start with a breath visualization. Just even as I'm talking, I'm going to start, and the whole practice is going to be focused on this, where you inhale in through both nostrils. You'll visualize the breath moving down the front of your spine to your seat. You will exhale up the back of your spine and out through both nostrils. And there's going to be a breath count of around 5 counts. And you're going to continue that visualization for yourself throughout the entire practice. It'll be really meditative, really soothing. Inhaling through both nostrils, imagine the breath traveling down the front of your spine, offering a nice little energetic massage at the same time. Then exhaling up the back of your spine and out through both nostrils. Okay, get to practicing that and we'll get started. Okay, so we're going to start in a supported inversion, a supported downward facing dog, the upside down V. And what I'd like you to do is get creative with some props that you have around your house that you can build the ground up to rest your forehead into when we're in the inverted V. So something similar to what I've got here, a bolster, some kind of cushiony element, rolled up blankets, cushions, whatever you've got. And then something a little bit more solid like a block or a book. And if the book's got quite hard edges, then maybe you drape a towel over that. If you have none of that to hand, that's cool. What you can do instead to create a more restorative inversion for yourself is Anahata Asana, puppy pose. And that's where we place our knees hip distance apart, our hips part directly over our knees rather than sitting them back in child's pose. To create a little bit more height to allow gravity to help traction the spine open, long, and kind of spacious and drapey. You can almost imagine a puppy waggling its tail. Reaching your arms straight out in front of you so they're not collapsing down to the floor. They're really long and lifted, hands shoulder width apart. And then you slowly just start to soften your chest down towards the floor. And allow your head to be heavy and perhaps your forehead lands on the floor. Now, if your forehead doesn't get there, totally fine, probably quite normal. What you're going to do is place some padding under it so your forehead is connected to something. So it could be a rolled up piece of clothing, a rolled up towel, for example. And so with the connection of your forehead to something, becomes really soothing. So there's that front part of our brain that's all feeling going over and over and over and over and over, day in, day out. We're going to start to quieten that part of our brain, start to really settle and soothe. And it's really important to have your forehead connected to something, to really invoke that. And you're going to be invited to drape the skin of your forehead from your hairline down to the bridge of your nose. See if you even do it with the fingertips. Kind of has this kind of washing quality, like your gaze gets really soft. It's really quite lovely. So, puppy pose with something under your forehead, or assemble your props about a third of the way down your mat, because you'll have your hands over the top, your feet to the back for supported downward facing dog. Then place your hands out a shoulder width apart, spread through your fingers, and lean your weight forwards for a moment just so you can check in with how you're connecting there. Notice if any part of your hands, like one of your fingers or part of your wrist or the palm of your hand lifting off the floor. Invite all parts to ground. It's almost like the earth could really sweetly feel you through your hands. And then from there, walk your knees back, tuck your toes, hover your knees off the floor, check in. And start to lift yourself up into your downward facing dog, pressing the top of the thighs back. You might keep the back of the knees soft so the hamstrings aren't part of the equation, and pulling on your lower back. And then find the point where you can rest your forehead into your block, and it might be that you need to adjust the height of your props, getting lower or higher. So it's not that you're crunching and closing off your throat, or the other way, thrusting your head back and over-exaggerating the curve of your neck. You want your spine to just feel really long and languid, honoring the curves of your spine. And then once you get there, really be there, fully inhabit this body with your breath. And we'll start that same breath pattern that I introduced at the beginning. Together we'll inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And slowly come down onto your knees. Sit back onto your heels. Allow yourself a moment or two here to resettle, to reground. And feel what you feel. Welcoming what you feel. Thanking what you feel. Okay. From there, we're going to take a supported standing forward fold, or a halfway downward facing dog, creating an L shape. We've got a few options. I'm going to do it with the bolster, creating an L shape by draping myself over the bolster, where you get the hinge at the hips and lengthen your spine. If you don't have an item like this, you've got a couple of really great options to choose from. You could go to your kitchen bench top or a desk or a table. You can extend your arms out long, so it really does feel like a half downward facing dog, where you get that nice lengthening quality. If you don't have any of that close to hand, you can go to a wall. I'm pretty sure you've got a wall in the room that you're in. You can go to the wall and step yourself about 3 feet or so away from the wall. You're going to walk your hands up the wall, interlace your hands, and your forearms are going to rest on the wall. Now, I'm a little bit tall for this one, but you get the idea. Elbows shoulder width apart. Play with the placement of your feet. We can get nice and heavy in your feet. You'll put a little bit of weight into your forearms. You can start to drape your chest, mount the skin of your chest towards the wall, and your forehead connects to the wall. It may be that you need to walk yourself closer together or further away to achieve a place where you can really be. And you enjoy the breath cues in that position, or at your desk, or at your table. Now this one at the wall is really great if you're having a day where everything just feels like it's turning to custard. It's a nice little reset you can do in your office or at home. Really good if you're nauseous. Really good if you feel a headache coming on. So just remember that for your toolkit. I'm going to take the bolster variation. Roughly setting your feet in a hip distance apart, about 2/5, and your second toes pointing straight ahead rather than the big toes, second toes. And it's just a really nice measure to ensure a nice clean line where your pelvis and the weight that is then draining down from your pelvis, waterfall through the legs. It can be a nice clean flow, and there's nothing that's going to get all jammy in one part. And then when you get there, and your feet hinging at the hips, I'm just going to take a nice little hug of the bolster. I'm just going to wrap my arms around it, and then settling the forehead onto the top of the bolster. Adjust it so you can smooth the skin of your forehead down to the bridge of your nose. Really arrive and settle in. And take those same breath counts and the same breath visualization, inhaling through the front of the spine, exhaling up the back of the spine. So together, let's inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, getting a little bit heavier in your legs. Exhale. And last one, do a little less. Inhale. Exhale. And slowly extracting yourself from your halfway fold. If you're at the wall or tabletop, just apply a little bit of pressure in your hands to lift yourself away. If you're over a bolster, and release the bolster down. Bring your hands to your hips, shoulders on your back, bit of a bend in the knees, and float up through the skin of the back. Come all the way up to stand. And then once you get there, stand in your Tadasana. Once more, really arrive and feel what you feel. Welcome it all. From there, we're going to get low. Have your bolster or a cushion handy. If you know you feel challenged when you come to take a seat when there's a slumping in your lower back and you're really not honouring the natural curve of your lower back, then you'll want that handy to sit upon. And we're going to start in a lunge style pose. If your knees are sensitive, put a little bit of padding under your left knee, your right foot forwards. And take a long enough stride so you might start to shimmy that left knee back. So when you start to evenly settle your hips forwards, you roll a little bit more onto the flesh of the left thigh rather than the left knee. You're going to prop yourself up with your right forearm on your right thigh and your left wrist to cuff your right hand. You apply just a little bit of downward pressure So you can feel that lift up through your spine. There's a little bit of a movement of your belly away from your right thigh. So you're not just kind of hanging and laying in your joints. There's a bit more integrity to it. We'll still find that really nice restorative opening, I promise. It's a little bit of downward pressure, connecting through the right foot, right forearm to thigh. Tall in your spine, so the front, sides and back along. And so you can more easily follow that breath visualization. And gaze soft. We'll start 5 rounds of that breath. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. And from there, reach your hands forwards. All you're going to do is sneak your weight forwards, so much so that your knee actually creeps over your toes. And it's okay here because you're still closing off the gap behind the knee, pointing the knee directly forward so it's nice and stable. When you keep the right heel grounded though, don't lift it off the floor. So there's a little bit of energy moving back with your hips sinking down. So you can start to open up through the calf muscle around the Achilles and around the heel. Your fingertips can reach forwards or over something if that doesn't feel quite right. Settle there, be still, allow your bones to be heavy. See where you could do a little bit less and do a little bit less. And come back to that same breath visualization. Inhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Walk your hands back under your shoulders, knee back over your ankle. Pause there. Get a little bit heavier in the right leg. So you're going to lead with the hips. Find a little bit of a stretch through the back of the right leg for a breath or two if that feels good. You can drag that leg through and give it a little roll in and out. You can cross it around to the left and sink yourself back. It's a little bit of free-form movement. And then re-step that right foot back in front. Yep, the right foot again. Walk it over to the left. So you can drag the left knee forwards and start to stack thigh upon thigh. Right thigh upon left thigh. Feet out to the side. So you can shimmy your hips down to the floor. Now if that immediately goes in the body, listen to that. And you can do a couple of things to remedy it so you feel a little bit more stable and easeful. You can stretch out the left leg, so both sit bones can be really nicely grounded. Or you can lift your seat up on something. like a bolster or a block, like so, okay? So make a really skillful choice for you. You know, this really is a practice of being honest and finding what's really real and true and meaningful for ourselves. The more we honor that here, the more we practice it out there. Get yourself there, settle, really be with it. You can have your fingertips out to the side. Might be that it feels nice to have fingertips back, chest lifted. My preference today, I'm really creating an environment where I can spend a lot more time turning inwards. I'm going to fold forwards. Could even do something like forehead on a block. And then I'll talk you through the next few rounds of breath, okay? The next inhale, we go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And slowly reset upright if you were folding forwards or leaning back. Pause there. Gaze really soft and broad. Feel what you feel right here, right now. Welcome what you feel. Thank what you feel. I could stay there forever. Let's keep going though. You're going to sweep your right leg around. Shimmy your left knee right off to the left side of your mat. And when you lift yourself up to the center of your mat, you've got your left leg out on a nice diagonal from your left hip, closing off the gap behind the left knee. And the left foot is closer towards the right hip. And you walk your right leg back, and just check in there if there is kind of a slumping off to one side. Then you can use your props, like your block or your bolster, to support that. You know, we always have support available to us. We just sometimes have to slow down and be really honest about what we need. And then from there you can stay upright, propping yourself on your fingertips or your hands. You could start to walk halfway forwards. You could come down onto forearms. Variation I quite like is stacking the fists, resting the forehead on the fists, and again smoothing the skin down towards the bridge of the nose. Once you get there, once you arrive, really fully inhabit where you are. We'll do that with the same breath visualization. Together, let's inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, massaging the back of the throat. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. exhale. Put a little bit more weight in your hands to slowly lift yourself back up. Tuck the back foot, shimmy the back knee in. You can stretch that left leg back this time. Give it a little circle in and out. Maybe all fours, cat-cow, or rocking forward and back. Or more lateral, side to side. Just allow energy to move, be it thoughts, emotions. And settle down into child's pose for a few rounds of breath. I'm going to go with knees together, variation of child's pose. You could, of course, do your knees apart as well. And release there. Good, let's take a big breath in together. And breathe out through your mouth. And set your hands under your shoulders. Press to slowly come upright. And we'll take those last three poses on the left. So stepping your left foot forwards, starting in the low lunge. Again, padding up your right knee if you need to. Starting with the knee over the ankle. It might be that you need to walk the right knee back a touch so you're more on the flesh of the thigh rather than the kneecap. And give a little bit more of your weight into your front foot and your back leg. And bring your hands to your thigh. Rest your forearm on your left thigh. Then cuff your left wrist with your right hand. A little bit of downward pressure with those arms to invite your belly to lift away from your thigh. And a nice long lift and ground. And this pulse, this even front, side and back. Gaze really soft. And let's dive back in with that same breath pattern. Together, inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Little pause. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Little pause. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Little pause. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Little pause. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. And from there, what you're going to do is shimmy your weight forwards a touch. So the knee keeps pointing forwards but is moving over the toes rather than being parked directly over the ankle. Notice if the heel lifts and re-ground it. Closing off the back of the knee so all the ligaments are protected. The back leg nice and long, hips heavy. And reach your fingertips out in front of you. Let the head be heavy. And reconnect back into that breath. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcoming the pause. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcoming the pause. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And do a little less. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. And walking your hands back under your shoulders. Get a little bit heavier on that front foot so you can lead with your hips. And extend that front leg towards straight, and you might enjoy a few rounds of breath. It's lengthening through the back of the leg there. And drag that left foot through. You might figure of 8 it in and out. Might cross it around to the right and stretch through the left side hip. And come back through all fours, shifting any stagnant energy, anything that feels stuck. Good. And reset your left foot in front of you. Walk it over to the right. So you can drag your right knee forwards and stack your thigh upon thigh. Feet wide so you can shift your hips back and evenly ground your hips between your feet. Now you might notice that this side feels different. It's often that we're asymmetrical in our hips. So if you really feel a lifting of that left side, extend the right leg out, or again, check in. It might feel really good to sit yourself up on something. And the more you lift yourself up, the more you'll really honor the curves of your spine. It's so primary, honoring your spine. So get honest, get real with yourself, what it is you need. Gift yourself time to do that. So then when you can take your shape, you can fully inhabit it. You can bring so much to it, so much presence, so much aliveness. And you can have your fingertips wide, leaning back like before, or as I did earlier, folding forwards. Make a choice that feels real and true and meaningful for you, that honors you. And really clarify it, really commit to it with the same breath pattern that we've been integrating. Inhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Keep your hips really heavy. Lift yourself back upright. Pause there. Feel what you feel. This is you. And single pigeon. Taking the right knee all the way to the right side of your mat. Reaching your left leg long behind you. So when you lift yourself up, square over your mat. Again, just to recap, the thigh is out on a diagonal, so it's not pointing forwards. Out in a diagonal, the foot close towards the opposite hip. So you're closing off the gap behind the knee, protecting those precious joints and the ligaments. You can walk that left knee back so the leg can be nice and long, nice long straight line. Check in if there's a collapse to one side or the other. Prop yourself up under your butt, front of your thigh, maybe both. Resource support for yourself. Such an important part of nourishing yourself. And you can stay upright or experiment with walking your hands out in front of you, maybe forearms, maybe full pranam. What I did earlier is stacking the fists, resting the forehead on the fists so you can find that sweet action of smoothing the skin of the forehead down towards the bridge of the nose. Really marinate in that place of peace and calm. 5 more breaths, this time on your own, counting it on your own. Finding the massage of the breath in the back of the throat on the inhale and exhale. Meditating on the flow of the breath down the front of the spine and up the back of the spine. And keep going, stay close to yourself. When you've finished your 5 complete breath rounds, slowly walk your hands back under your shoulders, drag your back knee in, extend that back leg out, the front leg out, sorry. You can circle of 8, maybe all 4s, lateral wave-like movements. Maybe circles, swirls, spirals. We're all of those movements anyway, so it's really nice to just follow that without overthinking it. Okay, last pose before we take our really restorative inversion. This is called frog pose. If you know it, don't freak out. You might want some extra padding under your knees. So if you're on carpet, you'll probably be okay with carpet and your mat. If you're on something like here, it might be nice to put a towel or blanket down. I'm going to come round to your mat long ways. And walk your knees out as wide as your inner legs will allow. And you want your shins parallel to each other. So there's a nice long line from knee to ankle, they're in line. Then flex your feet. So you're resting on the inside edge of your feet. So you got that. So you got kind of right angles here from hip to knee, long line, knee to ankle, long line, ankle to toe tips, long line. Okay, so just check in with that. And you walk your hands out in front of you, and a few options. It could be like puppy pose or down dog. It could be propping yourself up on your forearms. It could be what I just did, stacking fists and resting your forehead on your fists. I'm going to go on my forearms with my palms upturned. It's quite nice, kind of soft gesture of receptivity, because I do find this one quite challenging in the inner line of the legs. So this just reminds me to soften, so I don't kind of harden and resist against it. Because the moment you fight with it, your body fights back. And you can play with just moving your hips back and forward, and you find that nice point where you can settle. Notice where you're perhaps over-efforting, Let that go, noticing the quality you create when you let that go. Enjoy your breath on your own, really practicing and integrating it for yourself so you'll always have it when you're moving through the shapes of your life out there. And perhaps you can even play with a longer breath count, maybe upping it to something like a count of 8, perhaps. If you notice you're struggling with that, though, that's creating that same fight, dial it back down. Really staying close to yourself as you follow the visualization of inhaling down the front of your spine and exhaling up the back of your spine. And 3 more rounds of breath on your own. And once you've finished that, lift yourself back up onto your hands. It's a real graceful way to get out of this one. And the best way I've found is to press yourself off to one side so you can drag the other leg in and then in. And pause there a moment. Okay. The ideal way to round off this practice is to go to a wall and take Viparita Karani. Now, if you don't have clear wall space, what you could do is put your hips on a bit of height, something similar to this. Have it right under your sacrum, so really down low, not on the curve of your lower back, but right down low. And extend your legs up that way. You get this nice wash of energy. So that's your option if you don't have a wall. If you do have a wall, take the same prop with you and have it slightly just away from the wall, about the palm of your hand distance. So you have this, just a bit of gap, so you get a waterfall all the way down to pull into the pelvic halves. And the spine can be really nice and languid and syrupy. And you get yourself, you shimmy yourself right up close to the wall. Just take the mic out so I'm not going to crush it. Right up close. And it's kind of just a stop, drop and roll action. All in one movement. Spin yourself around. And once you get there, you can adjust bits and pieces. Get the prop where it feels good. Your legs can kind of splay wherever they splay. Toes really soft, knees soft. And there's this flow, just washing, streaming down your legs, pulling into your pelvic halves, down into each vertebra of your spine. Arms can be wide or on your belly, kind of sprawled overhead, starfish-like shape. Make a choice that feels good. It honors and celebrates you and fully inhabit it. Perhaps staying with the same breath visualization. that we've been practicing in our poses today. You also have my full permission to let that go. And simply rest. And this is where I'll leave you today. My hope is that you'll spend at least another minute or so here, if not 5 minutes. Really enjoy taking this time out for yourself. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being you. Namaste.